Today is the 10th anniversary of 9/11, and I'm riding towards the financial district of Manhattan. The last time I was here, the smoke was still rising. I was in the midst of shooting Scared Sacred, my journey to the ground zeros of the world, from Hiroshima to New York City. The survivors I met taught me to transform suffering into compassion, and compassion into action. Today, I can't help feeling that the entire planet is on the verge of becoming a ground zero. Everywhere I turn, I hear the deafening roar of collapsing economies, the cries of collapsing ecologies.
See, many people are losing hope, and they know how bad the situation is with climate change. But I see also an opportunity here. And my question is, how can the climate crisis be transformed into perhaps the greatest love story on Earth?
Love? Yes.
It is a love story in certain ways, at least on some days. And there are days when, part of me is just pissed off.
I'm sorry, I'm just getting distracted because I don't know what's happening here.
Love is the most democratic experience that exists. When one empathizes with another human being, another creature, all the barriers go down, all the boundaries are eliminated, all the distinctions in status and class goes by the wayside. Because if I empathize with you or another being, basically I'm saying I feel you as if you are me.
Beautiful. I love that question. How could the crisis we're facing become a love story?
Great love stories involve yearning to be together, separation forces that keep the lovers apart, and then they come back together in the end. Or like Romeo and Juliet, die tragically. And certainly the big separation that's happened here is the separation of humanity and nature, which has been brought about by a framework of thought and an ideology of development and domination and control and empire.
I've come to understand that power and love are the two great forces that shape the world. Martin Luther King once said that love without power is sentimental and anemic, but power without love is reckless and abusive. In the winter of 2010, a perfect storm was brewing in the Middle East, as the pressures of a global economic crisis were compounded by the heartless power of authoritarian regimes. In Tunisia, a young man named Mohamed Bouazizi reached his personal breaking point. Like too many people of his generation, he faced an uncertain future. He was barely surviving by selling produce at the side of the road, until even that was taken from him by a corrupt inspector. And so, he set himself on fire. There was one glimmer of hope in his heartbreaking protest, that somehow it would make a difference. That single act became the spark that set off a chain reaction of revolution that is reverberating to this day. Where were you when the revolution happened in January?
This was paradise for me. Standing in front of 10,000. They are saying down to work. I'm cool. I'm cool. This is one of the best moments of my life. 11 p.m. and the guy sells the state-owned newspapers.
Yeah.
Lies. We're just looking at him. We don't care about newspapers. We are the news.
Yeah,
we are the news. We are 10,000 occupying Tahrir Square. At 12:30 p.m. they start bombing us with the canisters of gas. The first time I smelled gas, I fell down. I fainted. This was the first day in the revolution.
Tahrir Square became a temporary autonomous zone, free from the crushing corruption of oppressive power. For the first time in 30 years, people were able to speak freely. It was a leaderless movement, with young people, old people, and people of all faiths coming together to try and change the system. It became an expression of public love.
My brother told me, what are you doing, Amr? You still believing that you will do anything? That you will oust Mubarak? On the 11th of February, I called him this day and told him 3 p.m. that Mubarak is out. He told me, what are you talking about? Are you kidding? I told him Mubarak is out. Well, he was screaming and people were screaming. I told him on the 25th of January that halas, it's over. People are getting, they woke up. They woke up. Halas, they will never sleep again.
What it is. It's certainly not hate. It's certainly not fear. But what it is the sense of being not separate from all the suffering and all of the emptiness, all of the compassion, all of the wisdom, all of the liberation, and all of the enslavement, to understand we're all that. We're in a threshold experience right now. And there's so much profound uncertainty that is in the weave of the world today. Young people are facing a future that is so indeterminate, whereas, when I was young, there was some kind of sense of predictability in the world. The notion of security in terms of what our future will be it's gone. We can't really figure things out. Now that sensibility either produces extreme resignation, people just go into helplessness, and helplessness is a companion of fear. Or it produces engagement, which is a sort of unmediated quality of mind where you're just right out there. You just say, this is the biggest doggone adventure I've ever been in. This is, like walking the knife's edge. You have to be really on your toes. It reminds me of Philippe Petit walking between the trade towers. And we're on that wire right now. And it's a kind of crazy love. And it's, we're in this kind of situation where we don't have any time to waste. And I like the Zen evening verse that we chant that go, life and death are of supreme importance. Time passes swiftly and opportunity is lost. Let us awaken, awaken. Do not squander your life.
On May 15th, the spark of the Arab Spring caught fire in Spain, launching the European summer. In city squares across the country, hundreds of thousands gathered under the motto, "We are not goods in the hands of bankers."
Todos los que estamos en el 15M y en este tipo de acciones ha sido como un llamado, ¿no? de tu conciencia al ver que tu problemática particular y la del vecino y la del hermano y la del amigo son problemáticas comunes, ¿no? Que es un problema ya global, colectivo.
Spain is on the front lines of the economic crash that is shaking the planet. The country is spiraling into deeper and deeper debt, facing crippling austerity programs. There are times when 300 families a day are facing foreclosure.
Periodista, llevarlo a la ¡no! ¡Never!
At last, politics are just marionetas.
Marionettes?
Puppets.
Puppets.
Exactly.
Puppets.
And politics, at last, are puppets of banks. Yeah. But banks are not democratic. We cannot vote for which bank we want to. And we say, oh, where is democracy? Everyone thinks different, we know. But all the people are agree that we are going to work with an assembly. We are going to work horizontally. We are going to work. Everyone can speak. Everyone can talk. Everyone. It's very interesting. It's not the ideology, it's the methodology.
All over the world, people are using the language of horizontal to talk about how they're organizing now in assembly forms, and it implies attempts at breaking down power and not having hierarchy, having a form of direct democracy. But saying horizontal means all of that. It's kind of a shorthand for creating new social relationships now, which is amazing. Like in that crack opens something new in history, and it's that simultaneous horizontal space that comes out of crisis-type moments.
The revolution here is from hierarchical to lateral power. That's the power shift. So increasingly, a younger generation that's grown up on the internet and now increasingly distributed renewable energies, they're measuring politics in terms of a struggle between centralized, hierarchical, top-down, and closed and proprietary versus distributed, open, collaborative, transparent. This shift from hierarchical to lateral power is going to change the way we live, the way we educate our children, and the way we govern the world.
It's a week after the 10th anniversary of 9/11, and once again, I find myself heading for the financial district of Manhattan. This time, I'm answering a call. Occupy Wall Street. Bring tent. I bypass the new towers rising from ground zero and stop across the street at Zuccotti Park, soon to be renamed Liberty Square. Hundreds of people are gathered together to create a Tahrir Square moment on this side of the Atlantic. Immediately, I can tell that something's different. We're not just protesting, we're discussing. There are no leaders offering ready-made solutions. Unlike the usual activist campaigns that start off with a predetermined demand, this is a process, not a product. The police banned the use of megaphones, so we learned to amplify our own voices.
Mic check. Mic check. Working group. Working group. Quarterbacks. We are a body.
We are a body.
Of individuals.
Of individuals.
Discussing, mobilizing, and finding solutions.
Discussing, mobilizing, and finding solutions.
To create.
To create.
A better tomorrow.
A better tomorrow.
Ready? One, two, three, four.
How could all this crisis, which seemed to be building all together, how could that become a love story?
A love story.
Yeah.
Brother, can you spare a dime? But it's all about love.
Right. Brother, can you spare nice?
Brother, can you spare a dime? I can't spare a dime, but I can spare a peanut butter sandwich. Wall Street has grown, and the rich top 1% in 2011 controls over 40% of the wealth. So they've run away with it, and they won't be regulated. We've got to start from the ground up. We've got to figure out how to build a country that's more equal and where 100% of the people in the country are looked after and have a good life, not just 1%. We're connected. There is no I, there's only we.
What we're trying to do has never been done before. You look at Tahrir Square and the Arab Spring, and how amazingly inspiring that was. It was incredible, and it inspired this movement. But overthrowing a dictator is not the same as overthrowing neoliberalism, which is a absolutely decentralized, headless network that locks itself in and morphs and reaches into every aspect of our lives. And now that the Egyptians have overthrown Mubarak and have elections, now they have to learn how to overthrow neoliberalism, and that is really, really hard. So the truth is, we've never done this.
Neoliberalism is a form of free market capitalism that currently dominates the world. It's an ideology that calls for the rule of the market above all and seeks to eliminate social services, privatize everything possible, and maximize profits. Does this mean that humans and Earth exist for the market and not the other way around?
These pillars that are behind us and this feeling of this place, it's almost indicative of this old order that's actually falling apart. and we keep trying to prop it up again.
Yeah.
It looks really solid.
Yeah.
But it's not so solid, is it?
No. So far, the response of the authorities to the debt crisis has been even more debt. And the response to the slowdown in economic growth, which is underneath the debt crisis, has been to try to coax a little bit more growth out of the system to keep things growing again. In other words, when what you're doing doesn't work, try even more of the same. If you want to keep the debts serviced, then you have to force people to devote more and more of their income to debt service. That's what they're trying to do with Greece. You're going to have to cut pensions, you're going to have to cut social services, so that you have more money to pay your creditors. The problem is that this never ends. You can keep Greece and these other countries paying their debts if you impose enough austerity and back it up with military force. You can keep it going for a few more years. But the cost is higher and higher, just like any addict. We could say that our system is a debt addict. The disintegration of that system cannot be stopped. It can only be upheld and continued at ever-increasing cost. Like, you can keep growth going if you continue fracking and you dig up the Albertan tar sands and you drill in the Alaskan Wildlife Refuge. You can get a few more years of growth, but the ecological costs get higher and higher.
The Alberta tar sands are the largest industrial project on the planet. What was once a beautiful boreal forest is now a ground zero.
It is a final colonial pillage that's going on right now. This is the vision, to save the economy by clawing away at the earth in the most violent way, pretending that climate change isn't happening.
To love Mother Earth as if she is my real mother, as if she's my real grandmother, So for me, is to love her, is to take care of her, even to cry for her sometimes. I've been in those situations where I cried for Mother Earth. I see something happening, like in the tar sands, for example. I cried when I saw the devastation that's happening there.
I had a nephew that worked for Syncrude. I said, what do you do, Shane? He said, I go around with this big garbage bag, he said, and I pick all the ducks out from around that pond, he said, and I put them in this garbage bag, and I throw them away in the garbage, he said.
What is happening with our water? What is happening with our land and the animals and the skies? And we want to stop it. We don't want it to get any worse than this. We want it to stop it now. When my mother tells me stories about her childhood, she tells me how they used to walk, sometimes for days.
Yeah.
And they would camp when they're tired.
Yeah.
And stay there for a day or two, and then they'd keep going, go to the next place and in their traveling. And people don't do that anymore. You could look around you and whoever walks, no one walks over here ever. So we're walking.
I am 82. I'm going on 83.
Holy cow. Okay, I want to be like both of you when I grow up.
When I grow up.
Yes.
It's not about confrontation. It's about communities coming together and marching to pray for the healing of the world's largest and most destructive development in the history of mankind, known as Canada's tar sands. I think something to understand is that, when you're born in a community, that has been completely devastated by the energy infrastructure that's been built on the backs of our people, all across continental North America. You don't choose to get involved in this work. You're born into it.
How could this climate crisis be framed as a great love story?
Well,
if there wasn't so much love, there wouldn't be so much pain. It's like love is the nervous system of the universe, bringing us joy and sorrow. Sometimes it feels like I've got ground zero in my heart, because the capital of government has succumbed to the government of capital. But I know the longest night gives way to the strongest light, so I prolong this fight till what's wrong is right. The ecological crisis is deepening our love. It's deepening our love for the planet. We are called to love more fully and to express our love in more powerful, visionary, and effective ways. Lightning is continuously striking in 100 places every moment. The universe spills through our dreams. The future belongs to the most compelling story.
We are creating a new story in this temporary autonomous zone. Yet, to the mainstream media, it seems as if this is not a story at all. Our numbers are still too small. So we are telling the story ourselves through Twitter, Facebook, and independent media.
So why are you here? Why are you here at this work?
Well, if anything, my family has been like the epitome of the struggle. You know, foreclosure, unemployment, tuition costs. It's just the epitome, you know. My mother struggled to feed me and my little sister. You know, anything you can say, I can empathize with you. And I wanted to come out and empathize with all these people and stand in solidarity, you know what I mean? Well, yesterday was a big march. On our way back, we made it to about 12th and University. And on 12th and University, we had just pandemonium breakout. It was just like everything just went into slow motion. Because all you see is people getting pepper sprayed, swept to the ground by police and getting beat. Then I turned and I saw my friend, Katie, get knocked down to the ground. And when I reached down to help her, I was pushed really hard. The officer just started throwing punches, and, you know, about four cops was there kicking me in my stomach, hitting me with batons, and, you know, laughing about it. The next day when I got out from being incarcerated, I came straight here, and we had double the numbers. So, I mean, I would do it again in a heartbeat. I'm here today and I'm blessed, so it's all good.
And you came back.
Yeah, I'm back. You know, I'm even stronger, back and better than ever.
The essence of one being or one creation is love. That it's not something outside of ourselves. It's not something outside of anyone or anything. It's a part of who we are. Always has been. Through our experiences of life, it at times can be buried deep within, but it It is within, because it's a part of the structure and within the creation of this being. It's a part of our DNA, and it's a part of all that cellular memory and all the stuff that scientists are figuring out about who we are. It doesn't get entangled with personality, per se. It's a presence of being, and it's a presence that comes from the creative source itself. You don't have to work as hard to look for it, because you can see it wherever you go.
Want me to take it first? It's like a little temple of seeds.
When I was little, I was really having a hard time in school because I was bullied a whole lot and I didn't really understand anything. And so I really like nature because when you go out into nature, it doesn't yell things at you. It doesn't tell you what to do. It doesn't tell you that you're a stupid idiot. Or it just makes you feel peaceful. And it doesn't make you think of any bad things like hurting yourself or anything. It really helps you out. Because everybody's trying to control things, and in nature doesn't want to control anything. Yeah, it just sort of goes, not because somebody makes a physical decision to do something, but just because it happens.
What is justice? The heart of it is really longing for people to be able to grow and develop freely in a positive and constructive way. And so what are the conditions that allow for that? So that we're back to this notion that there can be no love where there's domination.
What did you just tweet?
I tweeted, I'm on my way to Occupy Wall Street, ground zero. Whoa!
My dear friend Judy and I have been tracking the movements building on this planet for years. When Occupy Wall Street burst into life, we both felt that something new and important was happening. It didn't take much to convince her to come down to witness it for herself.
He came from California.
Hey, kids.
Hey, she came from Canada.
Kids. Even to you, we're not kids.
There's a sort of a combination of a loving atmosphere with a lot of excitement about discussing ideas and proposals. I've never seen anything like that. Well, when you first asked this question, Velcro, because, you asked it a long time ago, I thought, what a stupid question. No. And now I actually see it happening. This is how it's happening, right? It is becoming a love story. And out of that love and that connection of people to each other, they're going to create a different way to do things. Martin Luther King said we have to create a beloved community. And that's happening now, right? It's happening.
I can't stay away from this place. I don't watch television anymore. I eat here every day. The love story is people getting to know each other for a change based on their human experience. I've never felt so human in my life than coming out here. Watching the homeless get fed every day. Watching people who would not normally have dialogue with each other talk every day. I met a lady from North Carolina who said she'd never met a black man. And pardon her if she says something crazy, and I got it. I understood. She didn't want to be ignorant to certain things anymore. And that's the love story in itself for me, is just getting along. It's just a weird feeling. It's organic. It's what you think that humans are supposed to do. They're supposed to care for each other. They're supposed to settle their differences in conversation. I'm not scared.
It's not about being scared. They finding out now. They not the ones with all answers.
Okay.
It took them centuries to find out that they don't know everything.
Now, I'm mad too. I'm pissed off that white America is finally feeling the pinch. I'm mad, but I take advantage of it. I tell them, you feel that? You see that shit, don't you? That's how you got to get them. You talk to them. You know what I mean? You don't have to die physically. We die emotionally. We die financially. You know what I'm saying? It's killing me to look at my kids and know that they might not have nothing for real. For real. My 17-year-old daughter is talking about going into the military for real. My beautiful daughter is willing to kill herself to have some money in her pocket. That's a problem. But when you tell them that it ain't going to work, it's never going to work. Telling them that they can't fix it is scared because they can fix it today. You sure about that? I'm positive about it.
It's like we have two governments. One government is a financial, economic government playing by its rules, globalizing capital as the elected officials, nation states. And nation states have been overwhelmed. Democracy has been overwhelmed by this monopoly capital. And somehow we must find that to democratize capital. Capital belongs to all of us. It must be reasonably shared.
There are clear demands in Occupy Wall Street. There's a demand for economic justice, and that's the demand that would change everything. There's enough food in this world, there's enough housing in this world, there's enough shelter in this world, there's enough clothing in this world, there's enough teachers, there's enough universities for everybody's needs to be met. And the reasons they aren't is not because of lack of resources, it's because of distribution, and that's the politics of hate. Which is why this is a movement against that. That's a politics of love.
An economist says that essentially more for you is less for me. But the lover knows that more for you is more for me too. If you love somebody, then their happiness is your happiness. Their pain is your pain. Your sense of self expands to include other beings. That's love. Love is the expansion of the self to include the other. And that's a different kind of revolution. There's no one to fight. There's no evil to fight. There's no other in this revolution.
Having people disconnect, see one another as enemies is so crucial to the maintenance of that dominator system. And that love comes in and says, there isn't any difference that can't be understood. There isn't any conflict that can't be reconciled, so that love becomes a major, major threat to the formation of any kind of culture of dominator thinking and dominator society.
The sky does not belong to Exxon. The reason that it's so great that we're occupying Wall Street is because Wall Street has been occupying the atmosphere. That's why we can never do anything about global warming. Exxon gets in the way. Goldman Sachs gets in the way. The whole fossil fuel industry gets in the way.
So far, since Kyoto, we've accomplished essentially nothing as a planet to deal with climate change. In the end, it's not a technical issue, it's a power issue. What there is enough power in the fossil fuel industry to block any actual change in the way that the world's economy behaves.
What we see is that the solutions to the economic crisis are the same solutions that we need for the ecological crisis, because we aren't just facing an economic crisis. We are facing a profound ecological crisis that is intimately linked to the same greed-based economic model, growth-based economic model, a model that can't ever say enough or have enough, that has no breaks. I mean, this same mentality that trashes people, trashes the planet.
This year, thousands of temperature records are being set. The hottest, the wettest, the driest. Forests are blazing. Extreme droughts are threatening our food supplies. Sea levels are rising, and the ice caps of the world are melting. Climate change is happening now, in real time, and it's going to affect us all.
My land is the most isolated and desolate land on earth where humans live. And that's called Greenland, or Galassit Nunad, the land of the people. The big ice, where I come from, is the clock of Mother Earth. It ticks and shows the changes. Whatever it is happening on Earth, that's where it shows up first. I live with the big ice, literally a few kilometers away from it, and seeing the big ice vanishing in the thin air. The old people at home, they have always known that Mother Earth changes. This time though, we are now 7 billion people. So this time, the impact of it will be far greater than ever before.
We've spewed massive amounts of CO2 into the atmosphere from an industrial-based fossil fuel culture. And now we face the possibility of a mass extinction event in the next century. If we go up 2 to 3 degrees, which is now looking optimistic that we could hold it at that, our scientists say we could lose upwards of 70% of all the species of life on this planet by the turn of this century. That's a wipeout. What's wrong with us as a species? My sense is that the problem lies deeper than just finding new ways to regulate the global economy or coming up with some kind of a deal on climate change targets. What's really wrong here is that our government leaders, our business leaders, and for that matter, the rest of us, we're continuing to live on ideas about the nature of human nature and the meaning of the human journey that we inherited some 200 years ago, the beginning of the market era. Are we predatory, competitive by nature? Are we self-interested, materialistic, utilitarian, seek only to perpetuate our survival, and driven by libido? If that's who we are, we're likely doomed. Those ideas about human nature, the meaning of the human journey, are toxic, they're dysfunctional, and they've kept us from addressing the great issues about our future survival as a species on this planet.
We have just received notice from Brookfield Industries, the owner of this park, that conditions are unsanitary and they will evict us at dawn. That's the same excuse they used back in 1968 to clear Martin Luther King's Resurrection City out of the mall in Washington, D.C.
I believe this is the Occupation Wall Street's first stand. This is the first time that we will be taking a stand within the camp and saying, this is ours, we have claimed it, this is now Liberty Plaza, and we are fighting for the rights of all humanity.
Occupy with your bodies! Occupy with your bodies! Occupy with your hearts! Occupy with your hearts! Occupy with your spirit! Occupy with your spirit!
for the future. It's the only thing that fuels us, the only thing that saves us. It's the only thing I really think that is keeping this movement going, because we are tired.
We are all tired.
We are all soaking wet.
We are all soaking wet.
We are irritable.
We are irritable.
And our voices are hoarse.
And our voices are hoarse.
Does anybody want vitamin C?
I'll take one.
There are those moments sometimes when you're a part of something that is so big and so much bigger than you that the only response is a kind of physical sensation, because you can't think it and you can't even come up with words to express it. It just is a feeling.
Mic check! Mic check! Good morning, Occupy Wall Street! Good morning, Occupy Wall Street! Good morning, planet Earth! Good morning, planet Earth! There is nothing we cannot do!
And that morning, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning, by 5 o'clock no one could get in the plaza. There were so many thousands of people, no one else, because it was filled with everyone.
They can arrest all of us!
Just before dawn, we received news that the owners of the park backed down.
It was where the plaza was no longer a place, a geographic place. It was something else. It signified possibility. It signified us. It was ours. It was the beginning of a movement.
Isn't working for the 1% either. You know, if you were a CEO, you would be making the same choices they do. The institutions have their own logic. Life is pretty bleak at the top too. And all of the baubles of the rich, they're kind of this phony compensation for the loss of what's really important. The loss of community, the loss of connection, the loss of intimacy, the loss of meaning. Everybody wants to live a life of meaning. And today, we live in a money economy where we don't really depend on the gifts of anybody, but we buy everything. Therefore, we don't really need anybody, because whoever grew my food or made my clothes or built my house, well, if they died or if I alienate them, if they don't like me, that's okay. I can just pay somebody else to do it. And it's really hard to create community if the underlying knowledge is we don't need each other. So people kind of get together and they act nice, or maybe they consume together. But joint consumption doesn't create intimacy. Only joint creativity and gifts create intimacy and connection.
Our current cultural story tells us you get to work, you do your job, earn a lot of money, and that will help all of us because it will grow the economy. Like if I work hard and spend hard, I'm actually helping everybody. The reward was you'll be able to buy things. Our paradigm is that we consume as much as possible. We acquire a lot of material goods. That causes the environmental crisis. But it turns out that this acquisitory way of living that we have is also failing in terms of providing us with a good quality of life. You know, people are up to their ears in credit card debt. They're losing their houses to mortgage foreclosures. They're working so much that they can't spend time with the people they love. Maybe we could find a way of life where we can make ourselves happy, be less acquisitive, and concentrate on the things that really make people happy, which happen also to use fewer environmental resources.
El ser humano de pensamiento occidental quiere vivir mejor, cada vez mejor, acumular más dinero, tener más poder, tener más fama. Unos cuantos tienen poder, fama, a costa del sufrimiento de millones de personas. Ese pensamiento está mal. No es producto del amor, es producto del egoísmo. Nosotros no queremos que vivamos mejor, no queremos vivir bien. Y vivir bien significa volver al equilibrio, volver a la armonía natural. ¿Y cómo vamos a cambiar la forma de vida? Volviendo a nuestra identidad. Esa identidad que es producto del profundo amor, del relacionamiento con nuestro lugar de vida.
Bolivia is one of the world's first modern-day nation-states with an indigenous government. They call their political system plurinational. It aims to allow for the direct participation of all members of society. It's one of the most exciting social experiments I've seen.
Esto significa muchos colores, muchos pueblos, muchos pensamientos también. Nadie es superior, nadie es inferior. Pero todo es importante. Este no es una bandera, es un símbolo del equilibrio y la armonía. Que no es de Bolivia solamente, es del mundo también.
Claro.
Estamos en el inicio, en el amanecer de la historia de un nuevo tiempo.
Crises are always the starting points for evolution. I'm a post-Darwinian evolution biologist, and I see a cycle in evolution where species go through a juvenile phase where they're very feisty and creative and acquisitive, and they reproduce like crazy and take all the resources they can get to do it, and of course bump off anyone who gets in the way. And when you have individuals, you always start to get some tensions and conflicts. And that's the Darwinian part of the story. Eventually, you bump into the others so much that you start some conversations, some negotiations. And those negotiations can lead into cooperative schemes that become so tightly interwoven that you can build a whole new unity at the next larger size level. A pioneer ecosystem is made of species that are feisty and competitive and bumping each other off and stuff. And a climax ecosystem is made up of species that are tightly interwoven and all feeding each other, like mature rainforests and coral reefs and prairies with many, many species interdependent in a dance of love and interchange of all kinds.
Today, I feel like anything, absolutely anything, is possible. In more than 950 cities, people are rising up together. In Madrid, more than 500,000 are filling the square. 300,000 in Rome, 10,000 in Berlin, thousands all across Canada, America, Australia, Africa, Asia, in 82 countries around the world.
Yeah, this is crazy. I've been here since day 2. And it's amazing. It went from 2 to 300 strong to global. If you look around, there's thousands of people. You hear that? The whole world is watching.
Now they can hear us. Now they can hear us. We're too big to ignore. We're too big to ignore.
Hey, Noah. Hey, brother. This is beautiful. Good to see you.
And it's time to be on Times Square, because the time is now to rise up against economic injustice. We don't want to be divided up by the walls of Wall Street any longer.
We have arrived at our wildest dreams. As that one of the great signs people are carrying everywhere says, the beginning is near. I think the beginning is here, but the time is now. We're not talking about utopia that we're going to get to, you know, that's X miles or years away. We're living it. The fact that the model's spreading and all these people, they're learning in general assemblies to think about what would it look like if I was a full participant? What would it look like if we were fighting for and also living for and loving for a world in which everybody is important? How can we be a movement in which our means are also our end? How can we have prefigurative politics? And of course, what do you want to prefigure is a better world, and what is that? A world of love. So, you know, of course, this is a crisis whose answer is love.
This is your love story. During the winter nights, the starlings create one of the most spectacular things in nature. It's called a murmuration in reference to the murmuring of the wings of the birds. The murmuration functions on the basis of interdependence. Somehow the birds behave as if the interest of the individual bird is consistent with the interests of the murmuration as a whole. And there's a huge integrity to this thing, such that they collectively can fight off a fearsome predator. What if we were able to connect ourselves on a global basis with this massive network, these pipes of glass and air? Perhaps we could create some kind of consciousness that expands beyond an individual, whereby we could consciously decide to solve some of the big problems that face the world. I think that humans are capable of great things. They're capable of love.
There's a love emerging now that's coming from our creativity that's yearning for joining, because it can't fulfill itself alone. And as this yearning for expression of creativity and self-actualization, when it finds others, it starts to fall in love, but it's a love at the next level of creativity. It's excitement. It's vocational arousal. I see that the planet is going to be evolved by a massive uprising of creativity joined. And that what we need is just some help in our social structures. Like we need alternative currencies, we need wheels where we meet instead of top-down structures, we need internet where more and more people find each other, and it's already almost there.
In the ways that people have come together there has been this attempt to try to build the society that we want in miniature. You have the fact that people are being fed and that there's free health care, but also that the way the kitchen is being run is with a gray water system and compost and organic food that's coming from local farms to the extent that they were able to do that. I think 14 bicycle generators were built. So there was an ecological consciousness to that occupation sort of built into it. What we're starting to see is discussions happening about occupying the food system, for instance, occupying the farms, occupying the rooftops for solar energy, and green co-ops. In fact, Occupy New York just passed a resolution to form their first green co-op, a printing press. What I find exciting is this opposition movement coming together with these alternatives that have been developed, and these two strains braiding together, and this movement that has come to realize that you actually need to confront power, and people who realize it isn't enough just to confront power. We have to have alternatives. We can't just be against, we also have to be for.
Every single day, man, you can see all these patrols going and the helicopters, and you are under this extreme stress all the time, and we knew that they were coming and shut it down, but we didn't know when.
We're just trying to figure out a way that we can change the system. We don't know how to change the system, and it gets messy. I respect that you're here as a person, and you don't want to hurt your fellow citizens as we try to speak out against injustice. An economic system that is fundamentally misaligned in the corporate interest and against the people's interest. And that's all we're doing here.
Hey, back up, back up, back up.
What happened?
You got hit.
He got shot.
What's your name? What's your name?
What's your name?
What's your name?
What's your name?
Shit.
His name is Scott Olson, a Marine who survived 2 tours of Iraq, only to be almost killed at home. A coordinated crackdown is taking place at Occupy camps around the world. Why are these peaceful demonstrations so threatening?
Dominated culture is by its very essence antithetical to the practice of love, because love is about joining, about community, about people coming together, and that's the core of any form of activism. Forming connection, learning together, so that all of that is exactly the opposite of what dominated culture would have us be about.
It's so important that we have a conscious mind. How are we going to restore our relationships? So if we are advocating for a harmonious community, and we would love to have a sense of justice and prosperity, we cannot be using the same methods and the same tactics. Ends and means, for me, are the same.
Winter came early this year. At Occupy Wall Street, conditions are getting harder and harder. I wonder how much longer we can last.
How are we going to occupy the winter?
Not be afraid of the wind and the thunder.
Man, the community's been great. I haven't really left the tent because, you know, I'm not good with the cold. We've had bananas offered to us, thermal blankets, heat warmers, anything. We've had medics come by and check on us, make sure we're safe. The community is looking out for us. So come join the revolution. It's all about love out here.
Sweet. Dude, the question of the film that I'm making is how can the crisis become a love story?
I think it already is a love story, and that's how history will document it.
What?
I sent you a Facebook request.
Well, I take another shot of booze. And if anybody asks you, you tell them I got the Wall Street blues.
Look.
To keep moving.
Yeah, you keep walking, I will run. Don't worry.
Love can be the liberating force for humanity because it's so primal and so simple, like light, that if it's allowed to move through us, its movement is endless, its creativity is endless. It wants to spread. It's contagious. The only issue is whether there is a wall, a blockage, blocking that light, blocking that force, blocking its movement. We are at this point where, you know, the people of the Kalahari call it the time of all devourer, where all devourer has devoured the rivers and the trees and the oceans. But we are that devouring beast also. We are not separate from it. How do we understand that as not a metaphor, but as our existential crisis that says we will, in fact, shed our own unskillfulness. We will shed that aspect of ourselves that is greedy, that is illusory, into that place where we rise up in the essential truth of who we are. And we can be right next to the very jugular vein of transformation.
At 1 o'clock in the morning, unexpectedly, the police showed up and began driving all of us out of the park.
Everything we worked so hard to build here is gone. We took our part, it's gone. All we're trying to do is restore humanity in this world and offer a new solution. This is how we're treated. We fight a good fight, and this is what they do to us. I got this tattoo this weekend. I will continue to occupy, and I will spread my freaking message until the day I die.
We're here right now, aren't we? We're here. This is the 99%. We're here. I'm here. He's here. We're all here. They're here. They're still occupying. We're not inside there right now. The cops are occupying there for us. We're occupying the sidewalks right now. The 99% is still here. They can take a park. They can't take our hearts. You can't take that from us. You can't take our hearts, buddy. Remember that. We still got our passion. We still got our beliefs. We're out here. We're occupying the sidewalk. They can't do nothing about it. You can't do nothing. Stay in the park only one. We'll take out here. What's up, man?
First of all, you occupy your heart, you occupy the possibilities, you occupy your dreams. The whole world is public space. They can take a little square away here and tear up some tents there, but they're not stopping us. You know, this thing that you can tear up the flowers, but you can't stop the spring.
It turns out that living our lives in the face, making community in the face of these companies that destroy community as a matter of conscious policy and investment, that undoes them. It makes them nervous. It is nonviolent, it is creative, it's about staying together in public space and making communities. That's what we're doing right here in this corner.
They can't shut it down, right?
Oh no, oh no. We're already out of the barn. They can put us all in jail tonight. It won't help. It won't help them. It won't slow this. It won't slow this revolution down. This is happening now. Their containment, their little wall of blue here. We're already in the minds of the people sitting behind that reflective glass there. We're being taught. We're inciting conversations up in this office building. They're looking down at us right now and having conversations that are liberating them.
We are the 99%. 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 We are the 99%.
The force of love, the force of reunion, is unstoppable. You can pave over the parking lot, but if you leave that parking lot alone for a while, then it begins to crack and weeds start pushing up through the cracks. The only way you can stop that from happening is to maintain that parking lot forever, keep paving it over. And we've been doing that. We've been paving over our souls forever and ever and ever, more and more and more. But now we're running out of the will to keep paving our souls over. We're running out of asphalt too. We can't do it anymore. Real change doesn't come without crisis. Childbirth doesn't come without crisis. I think that's happening with humanity now. Our growth has generated multiple crises and these are the contractions that are propelling us into a new world, whether we like it or not. But I think we're going to like it.
Even though there's been setbacks, it's sort of like when a wave comes in and leaves shells on the beach, you know, and then another wave comes in and leaves more on the beach. And that's the way movements are. They change the landscape like waves do, and each wave builds on the next wave. This is a big wave now that we're in. It's not going to be easy, though. It's not going to be easy. And the people in power, they fight like crazy to hold on to their power.
This movement against the Keystone XL pipeline, the Occupy movement, Arab Spring, these are all signalers, I believe, of what is essentially the emergence of the world's biggest and most profound social movement. You know, we know that the system is broken. It was designed that way. It was designed to exploit, and we need a new economic paradigm, one that doesn't sacrifice communities at the altar of irresponsible economic policies for the benefit of the privileged few.
So, we've circled the White House about 3 deep in people all the way around. I've just walked all the way around to see the whole thing. It's unbelievable. This hasn't been done before as far as I know.
For our time, this is what the civil rights movement was. This is the question on which you'll be counted 50 years and 100 years and 1,000 years hence. We're living at the moment when the most important thing that's ever happened on our planet is happening. And there is no love quite like that, you know. The willingness to put it all on the line for your neighbors, for future generations, for the rest of creation.
moments in history where great civilizations are tasked with reinventing themselves or risking collapse. We have to begin to create the basis of an empathic civilization. I simply do not see how we're going to address climate change, create a new energy regime, develop a sustainable economic paradigm for present and future generations, short of this fundamental shift in human consciousness. But here's where I'm hopeful. We started off with limited empathic distress that extended to those of blood ties. And then we extended empathy to those who had similar religious affiliations. Then we extended our empathy to those who had similar national identities. Is it a big stretch to imagine the next stage where we can extend our empathy to empathize with our entire species and our fellow creatures living in one biosphere, when we can go not just beyond political borders, but beyond human borders, and begin to see a borderless world where all life together is part of a single family? Then we really create a love story for the planet itself.
This oli or chant is one that is an expression of life, an appreciation of what life is, and for this place that we live, for its mountains and its oceans and the land and all things that grow upon the land and dwell on it and fly above it and swim within it and crawl within it. And to life itself, to the breath of life that each of us is given. Thank you.
It's been a year since we first occupied Wall Street. I started out looking for the perfect love story, but what I found instead was something even more beautiful. A messy love, an imperfect love, a human love. In this time of uncertainty, can I continue to love, even if it breaks my heart? We live in a time of record-breaking crisis, but it's also a time of record-breaking vision. The spark of a global spring is now blazing. Humanity is waking up to the fact that the dominant system of power is failing to provide us with health, happiness, or meaning. We are creating a new paradigm as ancient as life. It's alive anytime, anyone, anywhere is creating justice, compassion, community. We are meeting the rising tides of this age of extinctions with radical grace. It's a revolution of the heart, and it's the greatest love story on earth.
Yo, just hold your fist high. We're a unified tribe. We unite for rights plus the fight. We deny beauty and light. Searching for a spiritual height. That's the fight. Yeah, we on a mission tonight. Wall Street, we keep the movement alive. Down in D.C., you know the people gon' thrive. Up in Boston, you know the spirit won't die. Out in Oakland, occupy. Denver, we keep the movement alive. Seattle to San Diego, yeah, the people gon' thrive. In the Midwest, you know the spirit won't die. Organized and occupy. Just hold your fist high. We're a unified tribe. We unite for rights plus the fight. We deny beauty and light. Searching for a spiritual height. That's the fight. Yeah, we on a mission tonight. As I stand here before you, I'm prepared to draw you another picture. So consider this scripture a hieroglyph, artifact that you remember. A vast search for otherness brought us to this. Now if we use the time and we don't abuse the rhyme, thoughts create building blocks for a logical climb. Elevate past the present state. Hurry, wait, go as we solidify the Bible. Our matter to grow. Mountains increase, mountains of peace shall overflow. As you have a vision based on some traditions, you know the beautiful lights. Imagine from unspeakable heights. Spoke of grace as they interlace with tangible delights. Push the feeling through the glass ceiling. Now that ceiling, it's the place where you interface to blast past demons with daydreaming. Offering scenes of stimuli while our feet are planted firm in a world we should deny. Just hold your fist high. We're a unified tribe. We unite for rights plus the fight. We deny beauty and light. Searching for a spiritual height. That's the fight. Yeah, we on a mission tonight. Just hold your fist high. We're a unified tribe. We unite for rights plus the fight. We deny beauty and light. Searching for a spiritual height. That's the fight. Yeah, we on a mission tonight. Time viewed through the mind's eye is undefined. Why slit the belly of the heavens and the present will die. Whether it's joy division or the b-boy division, deploy the rhythm. Turn the volume up. Listen. Who chooses? Who loses? Who moves us? These days we're slaves with elusive nooses. Unseen, searching for something. Went to the wrong store. Nurtured the wrong core. This ain't no encore. This is the first time you're letting your light shine. We're beaming through nighttime. It's a beacon speaking. Levels peak and leave and speakers leak and need and for repair men for mayhem. Line them up, slay them with the yes, y'all. Whenever I'm lost to follow my call. Transmitting to y'all. So direct, think it all to your neck. With an intellect they didn't expect. Now it's a threat. Just hold your fist high. We're a unified tribe. We unite for rights plus the fight. We deny beauty and light. Searching for a spiritual height. That's the fight. Yeah, we on a mission tonight. Just hold your fist high. We're a unified tribe. We unite